This woman spent an entire dinner humiliating a nervous new waiter, mocking him, demanding special treatment, and bragging that she was a trainer from another restaurant location. She thought that meant she could treat him however she wanted. But what she didn't realize was that by the end of the night, the entire restaurant staff would gather around her table and give her a birthday celebration so loud she literally had to cover her ears. If you love stories where rude people finally get the karma they deserve, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with the worst restaurant customer you've ever seen. Because today's story is proof that sometimes revenge doesn't need yelling or fighting. Sometimes all it takes is a birthday song. Let's get into it. Back in 2015, I was grinding my way through nursing school, and like a lot of broke college students, I worked nights as a waitress. The restaurant I worked at was a little different from most places. We didn't rely on flashy advertising or promotions. Our entire reputation depended on word of mouth. That meant two things. First, the restaurant took customer experience very seriously. And second, the staff protected each other like family. By the time this story happened, I'd already been working there for several months. I wasn't technically a trainer, but management trusted me to help new servers once they started handling tables on their own. Which brings us to Tom, not his real name. Tom was one of our newest waiters. He was older than most of us, probably in his 40s or 50s, and he had just been released from prison. He was quiet, awkward, nervous about messing things up, but honestly, he was one of the nicest coworkers I'd ever had. That night was his first shift running a full section by himself, and he was terrified. His tables were right next to mine, so I kept an eye on him throughout the night, helping where I could. If he got overwhelmed, I'd step in and handle drinks or check on his other customers. That's when they walked in. A group of 6 people, mid-20s, loud, confident, and right in the middle of them was their leader. You know the type. The one who talks the loudest, complains the most, and acts like the restaurant exists purely for their entertainment. At first, everything seemed normal. Then Tom rushed up to me looking confused. "Hey, quick question," he said nervously. "They're asking for something called a wrap with these ingredients, but I don't think that's on our menu." I thought about it for a second. Technically, it wasn't, but we did have all the ingredients. Normally, I would have told him to politely explain it wasn't available, but it was his first night managing a section, and I could see the anxiety written all over his face. So I told him, "Ask the kitchen. If they're okay making it, we'll just do it." The cooks shrugged and said, "Sure, easy enough." Or at least it should have been, because the moment Tom delivered that first special request, the woman at the table leaned back with a smug smile. "Oh, good," she said. "Since you can do that, I need something else." And that was the start of the nightmare. Every single time Tom returned to the table, there was another demand. Extra sauces, different drinks, more modifications. The moment he delivered one item, she'd stop him before he could even turn around. Oh wait, actually, you could see his stress climbing higher and higher. His hands started shaking when he carried trays. His voice got quieter every time he spoke. And the worst part? She wasn't just demanding, she was mocking him. I didn't hear the first few comments, but eventually Tom came back to the kitchen looking completely defeated. That's when he told me the full story. Apparently, the woman had spent the entire meal telling him that she was a trainer at another location of our restaurant chain. And, according to her, he was the worst waiter she'd ever seen. She laughed about it in front of her friends, critiqued everything he did, talked down to him like he was incompetent, and the whole table just sat there watching. No one defended him. Now imagine this for a moment. You're already nervous. It's your first night handling a section alone. You're trying to rebuild your life, and a stranger spends the entire evening humiliating you in front of a crowd. Tom looked like he might actually quit right there in the kitchen. I told him to breathe. I quietly started covering his other tables so he could focus on that nightmare group. And I warned him about something every server eventually learns the hard way. Don't expect a tip from them. He nodded like he already knew. Eventually, the rest of the restaurant started closing down. Their table had arrived late and stayed long past our section's closing time. They were now the last table in the entire area. That's when Tom came to me with another question. Hey, how do I apply an employee discount? I blinked. Employee? Yeah, he said. She said she works at the other location and wants to use her employee number. My stomach dropped, because suddenly everything made sense. This woman wasn't just a rude customer, she was a restaurant employee herself, which meant she absolutely knew better. And yet she spent the entire night tearing apart a brand new server who was already struggling. But that wasn't even the worst part. Tom continued, she also said there are multiple birthdays at the table, and they want the birthday cakes and song. That's when something inside me snapped. Not yelling, not anger exploding, just quiet fury. I told Tom to start preparing the cakes, but not to bring them out yet. Instead, I went straight to the front manager. Now, our managers were amazing, truly. They always backed up their staff. I gave him the quickest summary of the night, the harassment, the bragging, the employee discount, the fake birthday requests. He didn't even hesitate. His jaw tightened, and he said something I'll never forget. Oh, I'm making a phone call. He took the employee number she provided and walked into the office. Meanwhile, I gathered every employee I could find. Servers, hosts, bus staff, even the dishwasher. I explained the situation in about 15 seconds, and then I told them the plan. A few minutes later, Tom brought out the cakes, 6 plates, one in front of every person at the table. The woman sat there smiling proudly, clearly expecting the usual small birthday routine. But then something strange happened. People kept arriving, and arriving, and arriving. Servers lined up. Cooks stepped out of the kitchen. A dishwasher joined the group. By the time we were ready, there were more employees around that table than I'd ever seen for a birthday song in my life. The woman's smile widened. She thought this was special treatment. She had no idea what was coming. We took a breath, and then we started singing. Not normal singing, not polite singing. We sang as loud as humanly possible. Our restaurant had a ridiculously long birthday song, and because their table was tucked in the corner, every note bounced off the walls and came roaring back at them. Within seconds, their expressions changed. Smiles vanished. Hands shot up to cover ears. They were practically jumping in their seats, and we just kept going, louder and louder and louder. By the end of the song, their entire table looked shock-stilled. But the show wasn't over yet, because while we were performing our ear-shattering concert, our manager had been busy. When the woman walked up to the host stand to pay, she was handed a phone. Apparently, the manager from her location and their general manager were already on the line. Her employee number had been verified, and they'd just heard exactly how she treated another employee. Her confident attitude disappeared instantly. Her voice started cracking. Then the tears came. She tried explaining, making excuses, claiming misunderstandings, but it didn't matter. Her employee discount was denied, and judging by the conversation, her job might have been gone too. I'll never know what happened after she left that night. Maybe she talked her way back into employment somewhere else. Maybe she didn't. But I do know one thing. That night, a terrified new waiter walked out of the restaurant smiling, because the people around him had his back.
And the loudest birthday song in restaurant history? Yeah, that was for him. Some people think power means putting others down, but real strength is standing up for someone who can't stand up for themselves. And sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't yelling or fighting. Sometimes all it takes is a birthday song. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with the worst restaurant customer you've ever seen. Because today's story is proof that sometimes revenge doesn't need yelling or fighting. Sometimes all it takes is a birthday song. And remember, karma always finds a way.